Welcome to the People and Performance Podcast, offering tips and expert insights into the strategic capabilities, behaviors, and results needed to grow and sustain employee performance.
Hello, this is Bill Banham, co-host of the People and Performance Podcast. We're back. We're back for season 5, everyone. Can you believe it? Season 5. Gosh. And we have a whole bunch of amazing guests for you in this season. And in this episode, you're going to learn a little bit about who some of those folks are and what you can learn by tuning in over the next couple of months. And I'm joined today, of course, by my super fabulous, wonderful co-host, Christopher Bjorling. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm well, Bill. It is great to be back with you, and I'm excited to kick off another new season here shortly and just chat about, where we've been this summer, because unlike most times, we had a chance to get together. The wall of COVID finally dropped for us, and we got a chance to get together, and that was a blast.
Yes, we did. And you're even taller than I was expecting, actually. Well, maybe I'm shorter. I don't know. Okay, so let's begin by talking a little bit about our recent-ish meetup at SHRM in beautiful New Orleans. You and I attended the annual conference and Expo in June, and we both reconnected with colleagues, met some new awesome folks in HR and on the vendor side, and we saw some inspiring sessions. Can you take a minute or two and share some of the conversations that you enjoyed at the conference, maybe also share a few of the talks that you attended, and your overall thoughts of the 2022 SHRM Annual Conference and Expo?
Excellent. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, it was fun to be there with you and to strategize and figure out where we're going to go to divide and conquer. So it was a blast to be there. And so I got to go to a couple of different sessions that I really enjoyed. One was a speaker that I'm hoping we can get him on. I'm not going to say his name until we can confirm that. But I enjoyed him a year ago, just as we were coming out of pandemic, when I was at the Vegas SHRM Conference. And I targeted him for one of the days, and he did not fail to deliver. His room was overpacked. They had to shut the doors because of fire code. And he was not only informative, but very hilarious and just full of great ideas surrounding what's the best way to tackle performance management in this future. And it was kind of interesting as he rolled through his pieces. He talked about a lot of what we've talked about over the seasons, and and he hit on, hey, it's towards visioning towards the future. It's towards setting your goals and maintaining them. And he hit a lot of the things that we look at from the concept of more of a modern performance discussion versus the traditional, everybody hates it once a year type thing. So, his session was great, full of fun, full of humor, just an entertainer through and through. But, we're not always there just to be entertained. We're also there to learn. And so I went to some of the other sessions, and I got to see some snapshots of organizations that are using some tools and processes and activities that are focused on preparing their people to be better at their position, better at their job, and to do it more efficiently. It's kind of micro learning at the point of need, and some of those are really good. And one of them was a major car company that was there, and it was kind of ironic because they were doing some things that I was doing back in the 80s. When we had a certain technology, an older technology, but now that we have new virtual heads-up technology, they were able to convert the concepts into that, and they were showing the cost savings and the benefits that were there. And so it was fun to revisit something that I had done in the Stone Age, being now applied in current technology. So that was really good. So lots of different pieces there. And then on the floor of the vendors, lots of great ideas, lots of fresh new faces that were out there that we haven't seen before, plus some of the old stalwarts that I know that you've, between HRchat and our People and Performance podcast, we're going to be having them on here as we roll forward, and we're excited about those pieces. But some great things, especially around DE&I, interviewing, just total system packages that were out there to help the HR community along and do things better, and hopefully in a different fashion where they had been before, and to make the processes smooth out and be unified and focused on delivering to your internal clients.
This edition is a special guest episode brought to you in partnership with our friends at the North American-based HRchat podcast, a podcast focused on interviews with HR, talent, and tech experts.
All right, Bill, now it's time to give us some focus and attention on the new season of People and Performance podcast. You and I just wrapped up a mammoth round of interviews with a long list of experts in and around leadership, HR, performance management, and talent. Can you offer some information around these upcoming episodes and give us a sneak peek of what we can expect from this season?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Okay, so this conversation counts as season 5, episode 1, as we'll be publishing 2 versions of this conversation, one on the HRchat feed and one on the People and Performance channel. So starting with episode 2 of season 5, episode 2 features Kelly Kaufman, who's the Chief Human Resource Capital Officer over at the Milwaukee Bucks. In episode 2, Chris and I talk with Kelly about her experiences of building the HR function at a major sports brand, and Kelly shares her approach to inspiring high performance from those around her. And by the way, Kelly has over 20 years of HR experience, and she joined the Bucks staff as HR executive with the task of creating the organization's first human resources department from the ground up. So it's a pretty unique story, and everybody knows, of course, that the journey culminated in the 2021 World Championship, and I'm sure Kelly was a huge part of that, Chris. Episode 3 features Jacqueline Kuhn from HRchat. And in episode 3, you and I talk with Jacqueline, who's the co-owner and executive VP of Strategic Services over at HRchat and author of the new book, HRchat's Guide to HCM Technology, What You Should Know Before Your Next HCM Technology Purchase. Jacqueline is an HR professional with over 25 years of experience in strategic planning, systems management, project management, service delivery, and general HR. And throughout her career, she has worked with organizations in sectors global and domestic to create strategic plans around their HR capital management systems, as well as leading selection and implementation projects for talent management, talent acquisition, and HRIS systems. Before you embark on your next HCM tech purchase, we'd strongly recommend that you listen to this episode for inspiration from Jacqueline around defining an HR service delivery model, creating an HCM technology strategy, defining the system evaluation and selection process, undertaking system implementation, and what to expect post-implementation. And as part of that conversation, Jacqueline shares her 3 key levers for building a business case for any HCM tech project. Episode 4 features Tia Graham from Arrive at Happy. And in that episode, Chris and I ask why happier leaders tend to perform better and get more engagement from their colleagues. Tia is founder at Arrive at Happy and author of the new book, Be a Happy Leader. She's also an amazing human being. And throughout its pages, strategies and tactics are provided, which include the use of positive psychology, having a broad perspective, executing quickly, creating strong relationships, measuring what matters, and being the spark in the team. So we hope that you tune into that episode to learn about new ways to encourage leaders to be happier and therefore to get more from their team. In episode 5, we hear from Joey Price from Jumpstart HR. Chris had to sit that episode out, so I chatted solo with Joey, who's an entrepreneur. He's CEO over at Jumpstart HR. He's an AI ethics advisory board member at Arena Analytics, and he's a podcast host and executive producer over at the awesome While We Were Working podcast. Joey talked with me about HR digital transformation strategies and how a digital transformation can accelerate business growth and encourage higher employee performance. In episode 6, Chris and I chat with Jeff Summers from Genos North America. He's the managing director over there, and we talked about ways that emotional intelligence can impact work relationships and therefore employee performance. Listen as we ask such questions as, how can leaders with high levels of emotional intelligence better connect with employees? How can emotional intelligence be taught, if that's even possible? And what can an organization expect to realize if they make an investment in developing the emotional intelligence of their leaders and their employees? Now, in episode 7, we welcome Brad Federman from Performance Point LLC. He's also the author of Cultivating Culture, 101 Ways to Foster Engagement in 15 Minutes or Less, which was released in March 2022. In that episode, we discuss cultivating culture, why leading with meaning and with purpose creates positive and sustainable business outcomes. This included asking Brad, isn't it harder to cultivate a company culture today compared to pre-pandemic? Because, for example, of remote working, higher expectations from employees, the great resignation, supply chain issues, and so on. In episode 8, Chris and I chat with Karen Mangia from Salesforce. She's the VP of Customer and Market Insights over there, and she's also a TEDx speaker and best-selling author, now publishing her latest book, Success from Anywhere, detailing the shifting landscape from working from home and what it means for the success of your business. Incredible figures have endorsed Success from Anywhere, actually, including Ariana Huffington, founder of the Huffington Post, and Tony Rodini, CEO of Salesforce. And we chatted with Karen about ways to build success into every organizational design, and that included trying to understand what Salesforce is uniquely good at when it comes to inspiring their people and encouraging higher levels of performance. We wrap up season 5 with an interview with Kathy Caprino. Kathy is an internationally recognized career and leadership coach, writer, speaker, and educator dedicated to the advancement of women in business. A former corporate VP, she is also a trained therapist, seasoned executive coach, senior Forbes contributor, top media source on careers, and the author of 2 books, Breakdown, Breakthrough, and her new book, The Most Powerful You, 7 Bravery-Boosting Paths to Career Bliss. And Kathy joined us to discuss how leaders can inspire employees and what to do to avoid a toxic workplace. So, Chris, that's just a little taste for our listeners of what to expect from season 5. Okay, Chris, so in season 5 of the People in Performance podcast, we introduced a new question. It's a second question that we now ask of all of our guests, and it is as follows. Can you share one piece of advice or some direction that you were given by a mentor, a leader, or a colleague that's inspired you to perform at a higher level in your career? So, Chris, I'd like to hear your answer to this question.
Oh, Bill, you shouldn't turn the camera to me at the moment, or the microphone in this case. As we joked earlier at the start of this session that, I worked in the Stone Age. I've been doing this for a long time, and there have been pearls of wisdom that have come my way from individuals, from mentors, from, just casual observations that I've had the benefit of seeing as I've gone through my career. And it's just kind of created this, this picture of different things that are out there as in our pre-call, and I was just talking and kind of said, I get these epiphany moments, and it's like, I should be doing that. I should be doing different things. One of probably the best things that I'll leave in this answer right now over the time was that I need to schedule time for myself. It seems weird. We're talking about productivity and performance and people and HR stuff, but the concept of being able to plan for your need for your that what we call work-life balance is an important thing for all of us to look at, to maintain. And by doing that, it refreshes it opens up the opportunity for me personally, but to when you see others do this, to come back renewed and focused on what they need to do. And I think oftentimes we are so heads down with pieces that we're working on and the performance that we're supposed to get through and be done with, that we forget that moment of just, okay, I need this break, so schedule it in. And so that was one of the epiphanies that I learned over the years in this listing of them. And we can go through as we continue through our series and chat about other ones that we're focused on specific things around performance and HR concepts and tasks and stuff like that. But also just coming back to this own little pearl, which came to me by a salesperson, actually, and it was just kind of really fun. And I squawked at first about it, and then I added it to my life, and it was a life-changing moment for me. So I'll just leave that with you.
I hate to be a bit of a drag, but we're all looking at a potential recession, Chris. Although it's not certain by any means, and if it does happen, it's going to be a very unique kind of recession because, from what I understand, the economy of the US, Canada, and elsewhere, it's essentially pretty healthy. It's just we're living through extraordinary times, and we are seeing GDP slow down or look like it's going to be a couple of quarters, and therefore a recession. How do you think that the labour market in the US will fare over the next year? And will we see budgets cut for hiring, onboarding, and career development? And before you answer, one would expect the answer to be, yeah, of course, there's a recession, but this is a unique type of recession, right? And there are lots and lots of jobs that we all anticipate will remain in demand throughout the next 12 months.
So you just answered part of that question. I love it. Yeah, there are going to be jobs that are going to stay in demand, but we are seeing some pullbacks already in the labor market for job offerings and the like along those lines. It was interesting. We were just getting, groundswell of activity here at Fidello, just of people asking and focusing and, moving forward. And then we kind of get this news that we're kind of going into a recession. We're also, we're seeing some organizations pull back already on their external hiring. But one of the things that I've been seeing is that they've not really stopped on their career development. In fact, a lot of them are more focused on developing the individuals that are there. I think, there were some lessons learned from the Great Resignation period, like how do we make it better in our own world to stay here? So I think even regardless of what's occurring outside, as long as they can still keep their focus moving forward and maybe at a slower pace, they're going to try to continue to develop the talent that they have. And that's what I'm hoping for and what I've seen so far along those lines. So while there may be some slowdowns in hiring in certain areas, other areas will maintain just because of there still needs to be replenishment. Nobody was at full staff before this, potential recession starts. Nobody was at full staff. So there's still going to be that hiring model that's out there, just maybe pulled back a little along those lines. So we'll see how it breaks here shortly.
Okay, definitive answers there for Mr. Bjorling. Thank you very much. Okay, what else is happening at Fidello at the moment, Chris? Will you be attending any events over the next sort of 3 to 12 months that you want to mention, or can we expect any exciting news from you and your team over the next few months?
Hey, yeah, we're having fun. We're bringing on new clients. We're expanding some of our existing client activities for them through a natural process of growth inside. Once one of our tools gets in place, they just tend to, ask for the next thing. And so we continue to organically build within existing clients, but we're bringing on more clients now. And it's fun. It's refreshing. It's fun to get back to where you're bringing in more than you had been during the pandemic period. So those are great moments for us along that lines. From the concept of attending events, we may be looking to go to the HR Tech Show in Vegas. We'll probably be on the floor if we go to that, just to watch and see what's going on around us. See if there's any fun new technology, some stuff that we may even bring back to our podcast here and take it from there. We're also going to be presenting in November at the Human Resource Management Institute of Canada over in the Vancouver area. So we're excited to be part of that upcoming show. We'll be there for 3 days meeting with individuals. So if that organization has reached out to you, if you have to decide to go, please go. We'd love to meet you in person there. So that's it for the next few months.
Awesome. I love Vancouver. It's an amazing place, as is Vancouver Island. My favorite place in the world is Tofino, but that's enough about me. Chris, just finally for today, how can our listeners learn more about and connect with you?
Hey, thank you for that question, one that we always ask our guests as well. So I am found Chris Bjorling and on LinkedIn. You can find us at fidello.com. and you can learn more about us through those areas. We not only have the podcast, but we have newsletters that go out. So if you connect with me on LinkedIn and want a newsletter, just drop me a note. We'll send those out to you as well, too.
Beautiful. Well, that just leads me to say for today, for this special crossover episode, Chris, it's been lovely, as always, chatting with you. And listeners, we're very excited about season 5 of the People and Performance podcast. As I mentioned a little while ago, we've got a long list of amazing guests. So please do tune in and check those out. And but for now, that just leaves me to say, Chris, you're awesome. I always love chatting with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Everybody tune in. These are going to be some great sessions in this next series. So thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the People in Performance podcast. Follow us on social media and remember to subscribe.